Starting off, Israel, another video. Uh, Women are not equal to men. It's going to be like that forevermore. It's going to be like that in the kingdom. That's just the way it is. That's the way the Most High made it. You know, what they always, they're saying that's how the ball drops. That's how the cards are played. All them other sayings they have. Things is what it is. It's almost like Esau being Esau, Jacob being Jacob, nations being nations. You know, that's going to be played throughout forever. Well, Esau's, you know, as far as Esau, he going to be destroyed, of course. But this is the way it is. And I asked about women in the Bible concerning war, and women didn't go to war. That's how you know America has become weak also. Their battleground are filled with women also. It says in the Bible, women did not typically go to war because ancient Israelite society was strictly patriarchal. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Men are socially and culturally viewed as the designated protectors and providers. Militarily, the biblical word world slug focused on physical combat, and tribes gathered men on fighting age for their armies. Yeah, well, you know, among the black people, you see it all the time now. Women out there fighting men. You know, they're very much involved with society. And they have become the head of the house, so to speak, because the man is no longer in the house. Social gender roles, ancient Israelite society assigned men, and for one thing too, women are no longer ashamed anymore. So, and it probably won't mention it. You know, some of the details why women, you know, weren't allowed to go to war. But right here, it says ancient Israelite society assigned men the duties of fighting and conquering, while women were expected to remain in domestic settings, manage households, and raise children. And with women, you can have a lot of complications with women, such as, you know, they do get pregnant. They have their cycle, which emotions are flying high. They are emotional beings. So you don't want that in your war grounds. You don't want that in politics with leadership. Because, you know, it's just like now, kind of like, you know, most of these black women hate black men, you know, and they can't stand black men. And this doesn't have to be for no reason at all, but because they're black men. We're black men. They don't base, you know, you could fit their criteria, or whatever, but they'll still be like, I can't still fuck with him because he's black. Now, you know, the apostles, they say that they like leave these black women alone, but you know, we know what they mean by that. You know, they're not just saying because they're black women. They're saying because, you know, of the attitude, their spirit, you know, ratchetness. That's really the black women they're talking about. They're not talking about the submissive, you know, black women that understand their roles as women, to be submissive, to be in order with their men, and soft-spoken and such as. But, you know, of course now women are saying, well, we don't have no protection, you know, so we got to stay on hard. We have to have a hard edge. Well, y'all the ones that didn't want the black men, yeah, took the so-called white man's bread. so to speak, and didn't mind black men, out of the house, you know. So that this is y'all's own doings, man. Um, and now I asked the same thing for America. Of course, now America permits women to go to war. But when I asked it a general question about it, it said women are generally restricted from combat or military service due to historical policies, like going back, like I just read in the scriptures, or I'll read in the scriptures, physiological differences, physical, and deeply ingrained cultural norms. Now, you might be at a job, for instance, concerning the physical differences, and it's equal rights, right? But of course, a lot of physical things at the job, and to be moved, a lot of laborious work at the job, you know, you might have a butchy kind of thicker woman or what have you that could, move things around like men do, like, how they had a requirement at least be able to move 50 pounds, or more. But you have a big crate of something, or moving packages that are heavy, like 50 70 pounds, and that's a requirement, for all day. It's usually going to be the men doing that, and if you, how dare you say, well, they're going to say, well, why didn't you, help her move the water? Like, well, I didn't think she needed help. She looked like she had it to me. And they'll look sideways at you because she's a woman. And you'll be like, you couldn't help this woman out, Or if there's a bear on the outside of your door, scratching and clawing at it, and you just walk past and let it say, hey, I ain't getting involved with that. They're gonna look at you crazy because you're supposed to be a man to take care, to protect this woman, such as, somebody trying to grape the woman. You're like, oh, I just didn't, I don't want to get involved, They're gonna hold you highly accountable for it because you a man. You could have took that man out. She's she's a woman, especially if the woman is kind of frail, not much weight on her, and like I said, it was a saying that a woman said, and it's truth to it. Bigger women are harder to get kidnapped. A lot of times when a kidnapper is on the prowl or whatever, or some creepy dude is on the prowl wanting to abduct women or something, they're gonna go for the more fragile, weak looking women, or the one, even in some way, the women that don't look like they know what's going on, or that's lost, or that's that seem like they got that they're down in their luck, or so to speak. Their expressions on their face, like they're at the end of their rope. So that matters. Confidence and all that. We're not talking about so much about confident women like they're out of order. We're talking about that pride of women being independent and being like, I don't need nobody, and I don't never need a man. I'll marry my damn self if I have to. Those fucking kind of women. But yet in society, they're trying to get all kind of power from the man, money, energy, and time, and all that. So, and that rabbit hole goes deep because men have babies, mamas, and all that, and they have other children with other men, and the court system and child support and all that, and restraining orders and all that. It's a mad, crazy ass thing, man. But uh, uh, in the scriptures, plainly it tells you that 1 Corinthians 11:3. That's why you know they don't really believe in the Bible, because this is one of the main hangups, as well as a man, having women, or multiple women, or other women from other nations were able to have. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Yahweh Shai. They call him Christ, but it means anointed, Mashiach. And the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Yahweh Shai is Yahweh. The head of the woman is the man. Plainly, right there. So now, if women push for equal rights, they say, well, you can go to war too. And women really don't mind going to war. Do they really want to go to war? Hell no. And a lot of these women, when they do go to the military, whatever, they're not really going face-to-face combat with, out there in the field, so to speak. Sometimes maybe they do. I don't know. But, as far as from what I heard, brothers know more, that's in the military. But I ain't really done really deep research. But as far as I've heard and pieces of information that I've seen, they don't really get deep into war. They're either inside monitoring and dealing with inside stuff, inside the building type of service. I think it actually says that when I looked it up about women going to war. Now here's the American laws about women in war. It says American women are permitted to go to war and serve in all direct ground combat roles. See, well, the Pentagon officially lifted all gender-based restrictions on military combat positions in 2016, integrating women into previously closed infantry, armor, and special operations unit. Yeah, more probably special operations unit. It's just like I said at the job. Yeah, they're equal. Women are equal employment and all that. But who's doing the most labor, most laborious jobs? Men. All the construction jobs are mostly men. You'll have every now and then you'll see a woman in there climbing the poles, putting the, whatever they do, whether it's lighting, dealing with putting up lighting poles, or, dealing with concrete, and really a lot of that's machine work. It says before the historic policy change, women actively served in combat support in hazardous zones, but were legally and operationally barred from direct ground combat roles. Today, qualified female service members are eligible to serve across all branches of the armed forces, though the debate regarding physical standards, operational effectiveness, and integration continues to be reviewed by military leadership, of course. Now, all in all, I'm saying this because I don't want to make it too long. Women, they just want to be comfortable. They're the lay down type of, they become busy bodies. And it mentions that in the scriptures, they busy bodies. But they busy bodies for a reason. They're active for a reason. It's for self-reliance. It's for self-benefits. You know what I'm saying? If they have to walk 2 miles to start a rumor, 2 miles to this other female's house to either fight or start a rumor, they will. But let that be a man talking about, hey, come and visit me, and hey, we can have a good time. We don't even have to, do too much. We can, well, I really like you, but I ain't getting walk for no man. But a man to do that for a woman, he'll get on a bus for a woman. He'll walk for a woman in the fucking rain. Because mainly he's thinking about the box, you know? Because if you if you weigh out the worth of that, it really doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do those kind of things and you fall in love with a woman and she'll just one day say, well, you know what? I don't really like this no more. And she'll just leave and fuck with another man or even another woman. I mean, even a woman. Then you be like, damn, you know, all that. It's men that have cried on national TV that have children with women that, you know, that up and just left. When the woman up and just left, and he's like crying out saying, well, we got children together, we've been married, you know, we said we'd never cheat on each other. And she's like, well, I don't give a damn. Like, I'm with him now. Like, it's nothing. Like, it's fucking nothing, man. And I'm gonna still do it. I'm gonna do a video about this video that went viral. A woman, concerning a woman that was married to a man that went to a Chris Brown concert and did, you know how Chris Brown is. All his wild dancing on stage, and she didn't get on stage with Chris Brown, and they did this performance and all that, and then the man saw it, and now he wanted divorce and all that. And, you know, of course she's gonna say, well, it was just an act. It's just, you know, that's Chris Brown. I'm not getting, he got plenty of women. Why are you getting so mad? That's kind of how women do. Even when these actresses, you know, you know, I'm playing a role in this movie and I'm married to this man, so so you gonna kiss him? Yeah, I mean, that's what the role requires of me. But it is, you know, we can come up from this, babe. I'm gonna get some money and I'm gonna give you that money and all that. And it's only a 6-month period. Like, it ain't forever. Like, that's the kind of bullshit they come up with to justify themselves with what they do. And the man thinking about it like, yeah. But if you're a real man and you got morals, you're gonna be like, hell no. Hell no. See, a lot of men have become watered down simps, man. And it's kind of crazy because now that's what's left. You're either a pimp or a simp. And none of them are, you know, should be exercised as a man. But the same thing with you know, basically it's only one way with a woman, or well, you either a whore or you just a high-minded female that got boundaries and what do you call it, standards so high that you'll never be able to get into a relationship with a man, you know, because you know, you're looking for the perfect man, so to speak, according to how you draw him out in your mind. And that's not even reality. That's never possible unless she's a simp, and then you don't want a simp man, you know. You'd be like, yeah, he weak ass. Or if he's too strong-minded and heavy-handed, you'd be like, I ain't gonna have no man hit me like that. And no. So women really don't know what they want. You know, that's why Maya said that she married her damn self. Because her standards are too high. You know? And women are gonna think like that no matter what. Like we said, they're concerned that, you know, they bar a man and set him at a boundary just because he's, you know, 1 feet less than what she desires. That's crazy. And it's probably overall that they just don't like men, you know. Cause I don't know, that's too wild. Like, who the hell sets that standard? I don't like too short of women, but, you know, if she's a pretty ass woman, I'm like, shit, you know, it ain't gonna matter. So, and it tells us that in the scriptures, how he may please his wife. A man that is married care for the things of the world. Let me see. Because that's all they want is pleasure. That's all they want is comfort and pleasure. That's why their hang up always is relationships. It ain't got nothing to do with learning. It ain't got nothing to with a woman. Reason why women go to school is because they want to be independent. They don't want to depend on men. And school, they have programs, they have benefits to where, you can get your degree, or you can get student loans or sort with all that, and then they say, and you can get credits and all that. So, and then they have all that connected with owning a house and buying a house. All that shit is connected with that credit base. Schools, credit base, with a credit based system, which school goes along with that too. Even churches. It says 1 Corinthians 7:33, it says, but he that is married care for the things of the world, how he may please his wife. What does she want? Material things. Janet Jackson came out with a song called Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. They want money. They chasing the bag. That's what they teaching their young daughters now. Get the bag. Get the money. Fuck these men. Janet Jackson was she played a key role into young women's direction. She was that young, boisterous, seductive young female that came out after a lot of the old school women, and everybody was like, oh shit. Just like Beyonce renewed that spirit. So you go back and look at Janet Jackson's main songs when she started off. What have you done for me lately? Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend and all that. Pleasure Principle, when she was talking shit. Control, when she was breaking off from her parents, and my mother used to tell me now I'm older and now I'm all grown up, you can't tell me shit. That's the spirit that these women have today, these young women. And really, they're not really on the level of independency. But they're taught that. And then when they taught that, they think they have it. So they become independent at a young age, younger than, remember, Janet Jackson is different. She's famous, so she gets support from the system. And they think they could, model after her. And then they find out, like, damn, what happened? Well, she's famous. It's certain women that got help from the system already, and it's usually celebrities. The average woman, okay, and then the average woman, she'll move into these jobs and get some kind of entitlement or whatever, and a name for herself, and move up. But a lot of them women are single, or they marry Edomite men, and they go y'all do that, whatever. Less trouble for us. But a lot of these platforms now out, these hustle platforms, such as OnlyFans and all that, and IG and Facebook, and they can ask men for money. They could, do the catfish thing and pretend that they're somebody that they're not. And if you're a pretty woman, you can get by better than, of course, a woman that's not attractive, and that's just what it is. So that's why you don't really see a lot of just just super pretty women out there on the streets or walking around like on a day-to-day basis as normal people. No, somebody didn't swoop them up. Somebody didn't get them. Whether they be older men or rich men, somebody got their asses. Even if it's a simp man, he's like, nah, damn. I'm getting that. Because usually a lot of times simps have money. I mean, because they'll do anything for just like these women. They'll do anything for the bag or anything for money and shit. But, women like pleasure. They like to be pleased, and yeah, that's why it says you know, you daughters of Zion at ease, you daughters at ease. Let me see if I can get that scripture. And it tells you about starting with the so-called black women, Latino women on down, Native women. It tells you about them, mainly the black women in Isaiah 3 and 16. Those are basically her curses and how the Most High said she would be. Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go and making a tinkling in their feet. They proud, man. Therefore the Lord would scrap, and it goes on. So that's why it tells you about women having trouble in these days. Pray not your flight be in winter. You women that are with childbearing, it's going to be hard for them. And it has become already because, more men are waking up. They're going to be like, nah, I ain't dealing with this woman. There's a shift in this, in society. There's a shift in the spirit. And man, even among Edom, he's bashing women. Edom, he was known to just be simped out and so to speak. He's talking. He's strong arming these women in opinions and and so to speak, on the edge of masculinity. He's like, man, fuck these women. They talk shit, everybody trying to support this woman. And they were like, nah. Especially every woman that dies or been hurt and been something happened to her, she's innocent. She done no wrong. Everybody needs it. She could be a wicked ass witch. I'm talking about a lot of these times celebrities too. It could be like Beyonce. She's a full grown witch. But let something happen to her, they're gonna be crying like, she was beautiful. This woman was, and she was so talented. She was, so, and I can call this I Hate Celebrities. I told you I'm start doing hashtag videos called I Hate Celebrities. And Beyonce is on one of the top lists because she's a witch. She encouraged her other female parts, the members of a group to be witches. I believe, but women do that. They, she's so pretty and she's women, they outwardly adorn themselves too, like the scriptures say, that outwardly beautify themselves, and nobody has really said that about Whoopi Goldberg. They don't really put her on a, they don't really got nothing to say about it, but let it be a pretty ass woman, Beyonce, Nia Long, one of these other pretty women, they'll be like, oh man. So yeah, women are biased too, and they're what do you call it? They'll call somebody ugly in a minute. And then women become looking at us like, just because we say, this woman, she ain't all that. Oh, nigga, what? But women will call other women ugly all day and shit. You'll mention somebody like that look like Whoopi Goldberg or Precious, like, boy, you crazy. That bitch. But let you talk about Precious, let you talk about Precious and Whoopi. They be like, you going to hell for that, nigga. So, it's chaotic, man. And the so-called black woman's mind is chaotic. That's why it says, the woman's hearts are snares and nets, man. Ecclesiastes 7:26 is nothing more bitter than death than the woman. Whose hearts are snares and nets. And of course, they're not going to read this in church. They'll lose all their church members, man. That's like, that's how the churches are full of shit. They could talk about all this new breakdown and stuff, and that what the mark of the beast is, and what that's not really talking about how we breaking the scripture down. But y'all won't read these scriptures like this, Ecclesiastes 7:26, and I find more bitter than death the woman. Oh, you say that in church, your whole congregation, even the men, simp men in there, the feminine men in there, they're gonna say something. He didn't went crazy. He got a devil preacher. Got it. It won't be no church tomorrow. Whose heart is snares and nets, and this is King Solomon. This is really the Son of God. And her hands as bands who pleases God shall escape from her. These women are like in a prison. They do that. They trap men when they and they used to do that in California a lot. The brothers know. They use it like if all the event, when the event stuff happened, when the football game, basketball game comes to California, all the you got basketball players or even celebrities or whatever. Don Juan used to be there, Bishop Don Juan, whatever his name, he used to be there. But women used to go down there to get, see if they can get these men with money, and they probably really want to, some of them, I mean, especially if you're a football player, a basketball player, they want to have a baby with you. So they could say, well, yeah, this man got my baby, so I want, him to play child support. I want some millions. It ain't even about liking the man so much. That's why I say it's easy for you to get women when you're famous and when you got money, because that's what they strive after. So they not really, they can be with you, and if they don't, and if you refuse to give them money, they have, even with having a child with them, they'll leave and marry another football player, another basketball player. Now, so they didn't really love you. Just when that money stopped, they stopped. Women is like a damn a coin machine. It don't do nothing unless you put money inside of it. It's like a bubble gum machine. You don't get no bubble gum unless you put your money in. You don't get no box unless you put your money in. I don't know what they saying. Why they have a problem with men buying box. Because that's what you're really doing anyway. Because without the money, they ain't going to give it to you. It says, behold, I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands who please God shall escape from him, but the sinner shall be taken by her, man. That's why you have men following these women. It could be a man that just met a woman, and she be like, well, come over, and, hang out with my family a little bit. You don't have to hang out long. We could just be there for 10 minutes, then we can go out or something. I just, plus I want you to meet my mother or something. She, she's real cool. And then you go over there and a fight happens, and then she get in a fight with a cousin or something. You try to get involved and you get shot. So, or her ex-husband is there, or her boyfriend. I mean, her boyfriend she just broke up with, that they haven't even really established a breakup yet. You like, who is this nigga? You like, what? I can go out if I want to. I can have friends if I want to. She didn't even tell you about all that shit. So she's more bitter than death, a woman. Anyway, hope it's edifying. Till next video. Shalom.